Hey, beautiful soul. You're listening to the Rising into Mindful Motherhood podcast, your weekly dose of fertility wisdom. I'm your host, Dr. Katie Wood. I'm a barefoot mama bear, pharmacist, and integrative fertility coach. This is your go-to podcast for all things to naturally nourish your fertility, embody womb healing, and reclaim your feminine power to accelerate your path to pregnancy. My expert guests and I will be having intentional conversations to discuss the many facets of a thriving, fertile foundation, natural wellness, and how we grow and transform as women on our journey to motherhood. So let's dive in, shall we? Hello, everyone. Since we're in the month of February, I'm going to focus on self-love and the importance that that can have for our fertility. And I really want to start with a paragraph or so from the Energetic Fertility Method by Nancy May, chapter 6, which is about love, fertility, and the fourth chakra. So the entire book goes through all the different chakras and how it can affect your fertility. But I happen to be reading this chapter in this month, and it really just struck me as so relevant to the month of love in February. So, connection plays a huge role in fertility. When you connect with yourself, you open your heart, allowing for more bonding with yourself, your future child, and others. We connect at this level through our fourth chakra, also known as the heart chakra. The heart chakra is a place for giving and receiving love, as well as forgiveness and compassion. The health of the fourth chakra begins with self-love. And then I just want to move forward to she talks about her journey, her fertility journey. Much of what I needed to learn was about connection. This was an opportunity for me to look at my relationship with myself and to learn to love myself on my way to motherhood. It also allowed me the opportunity to connect more deeply with the spirit of the baby to see if there was anything she needed from me. Every one of us has a spirit, our essential self. This goes for your future child too. When I talk about connecting with the spirit of a baby, this is what I mean, connecting with the baby's true essence. I just thought that that was so beautiful, what she shared there, and really relevant. When I look back at my journey, it really was a self-love journey when I think about it. And I know it can be hard to see it from that perspective when you're in the thick of struggling to get pregnant. So that's why I think it's really, really nice to invest in reading a book like this, because I think it can really help shift your perspective. I'd like to talk more about how can you connect with your heart chakra by cultivating stillness within. And the way you can do this, really grounding yourself. You can sit in a quiet space, whatever is welcoming and comforting to you, a safe space. And you can really just begin by holding your hand to your heart and begin focusing on your breath. So every breath coming in, every breath going out, and just focusing on that. And you don't even have to put the pressure of this by calling it a meditation, just really being still and intentional with focusing on your breath. And then begin to really tune in and focus on what your heart is saying, not your mind. And this can definitely take practice. You can also ask your body at this point, when you do feel grounded and connected, what does your body need to feel more love from you at this point? Maybe you've been having a headache or a stomach ache, and your body's really just asking you, inviting you to rest and have more stillness. So by tuning into your heart and making these heart-centered decisions, you can draw from the compassionate and forgiving energy of the heart. So this can also really help open up your heart to giving and receiving. So receiving abundance, that's really what fertility is all about. So how can we balance our heart chakra? So really it comes down to radical self-acceptance. And this can look like a lot of different things. So a few ways is accepting your mistakes. We're all humans. We all make mistakes at the end of the day. But there's two ways that you can take a mistake. You can beat yourself up about it, really just have that hamster wheel in your head going and going about how you shouldn't have done that, how you could have done something else, something better. Or you could just take that mistake and learn from it and take it as a learning experience, an opportunity to grow. Accepting parts of yourself that your subconscious has deemed wrong or inadequate. That can look like a ton of things. Maybe growing up, you've always had this little inner voice telling you that you're not thin enough or you're not smart enough, just any of those things. It could be physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, so many different things that our subconscious kind of tears us down. And releasing any of this self-criticism from this inner critic. So a common example is just judging yourself. And then another big piece is staying true to yourself, not giving in to people pleasing or changing who you are to appease someone else. So staying true to your own core values. And then also forgiveness for yourself as well. So this kind of goes back to the mistakes part, but for past things that maybe you're not proud of, but perhaps you really held onto it in your body, giving yourself grace and compassion for the future. So another thing to think about is fear takes up a lot of space in one's fertility journey. Fear of never conceiving, fear of not being good enough, fear of not being a good parent, so many levels of fear. And fear comes from the rational thinking mind. By balancing your heart chakra and being in a connected and intuitive space of self-love and compassion keeps you in the present moment. And this will help you stay out of that fear mindset, which, if you can do that, you can move mountains. Fear is in the lowest level of consciousness at 100 in the David Hawkins scale of consciousness. I highly recommend that you Google his scale and look it up, David Hawkins scale of consciousness. And acceptance is at 350 and inner love is at 500. The higher the number, the higher your vibration and your energetic frequency. And this is super helpful in welcoming your baby. So in order to increase your energetic frequency, we must release energetic baggage that can take up space. This can look like a lot of things, but a few that come to mind, especially in the fertility space, is grief, anger, shame, resentment. We must not only forgive ourselves, but also be willing to forgive others for things that happened in the past. And forgiving is about letting go. It's not about, oh, what so-and-so did to me, by forgiving them, that makes it okay that they did that. It's not about that. It's just about letting it go. And maybe that person hasn't apologized or really acknowledged that they did something that was really hurtful to you. And it's just letting go of the need for them to apologize. That can just open up so much space for you. So one way you can do this is you can write a forgiveness letter to yourself, if you have anything to forgive yourself for, or to anyone else you need to forgive. And you can rip this letter up and you can burn it in maybe like a metal or glass bowl, a fire safe bowl outside of your home. Or maybe if you have a fireplace, you could throw it in the fireplace. Yeah. And that can really help cut that cord. You can also say a Hawaiian prayer for forgiveness and letting go. It's called Ho'oponopono. And you can maybe think of someone in your mind or yourself, and you can say these 4 things. I love you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. And thank you. So even if it's that other person that maybe did something to you, you can still do this prayer to really help let go of that energetic baggage. And another thing that can come into play with self-love is, as women, we are natural caregivers and nurturers. And sometimes we only focus on caring for others and not ourselves. This really leaves us pouring from an empty cup, and it can lead to burnout. It can lead to resentment. So taking time to care for ourselves and love ourselves is not selfish. It is a true act of self-love. And I want to read another paragraph from the same chapter, chapter 6, on page 86 at the bottom. Our society does not want you to think about yourself. Much of the world these days is very fast-paced and focused on the future. It does not leave room for you to turn inward and connect on a deep level. Bringing in greater health and being in a conscious way requires slowing down and turning inward. I know we've talked about this a lot. It involves you putting your needs ahead of others, at least some of the time. This might mean taking a break at work to ground, getting adequate rest, or choosing foods that are healthier for you despite your partner's choices or needs. And I know that that can be a big one for some of you who are trying to eat healthier for your fertility, but maybe your partner is not as willing to make those changes. So doing that for yourself is an act of self-love. If you feel bad or guilty about putting your needs first, ask yourself where you learn these beliefs. Then ask yourself if you are ready to let go of that programming in order to nurture yourself. It's so important to hold space for your needs. I just had to read those paragraphs from this book because she says it so beautifully. It's a beautiful book. I'm definitely going to be reading it again. I'm going to link it below this video so you can check it out. So one easy practice you can start today, simple, it's free, doesn't take a lot of time, is writing 3 things you love about yourself daily. It could be anything from your physical body, your emotional, mental, or spiritual side of yourself. It could be anything. And also in the 30-page fertility journal, there is a space to write a letter to your future child. You and your partner could write this letter or a promise to your unborn child. And if you don't really know where to start, here are some ideas. You could talk about how you and your partner met, your engagement or your wedding, the traditions or things that you like to do as a family. You could talk about any pets or other children you have. You could talk about the dreams you have for your future child. You could talk about the love you have for your future child, anything that's coming from the heart. And I think once you get started, even with just the few things I've listed here, it's just going to start pouring out naturally, and it's going to be a really beautiful outlet for connecting with your spiritual baby. So I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that you can find some space or maybe even some more space to really cultivate a self-love practice for yourself. So I'll see you later.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rising into Mindful Motherhood podcast. If this episode resonated with you or gave you an aha moment, stop what you're doing right now and write a review. This simple act of kindness helps me get this podcast out to connect with as many women as I possibly can. I also have a special offer. If you send me a screenshot of your review, I will take $250 off one of my premium coaching containers. Let me know what resonated with you the most and why. So connect with me in my free Facebook community or tag me on Instagram. You'll find both listed below. Thanks again from the bottom of my heart for tuning in to this episode, and I'll see you next time.